Good day, folks. My name is Chris Fourie and I'm the CEO of Dry Ager South Africa. We are the brand owner and distributor for the Dry Ager range of meat maturation cabinets manufactured in Germany by the Landic und Lava company. I've been involved with Dry Ager now just a little bit more than 13 months, and it's been quite a spectacular journey taking me to understand the subtle differences between certain dry aging methods. Luckily for me, I was previously involved in the restaurant industry for the past 28 years, and I've been exposed to wet aging of various volumes and various types of meat, predominantly beef. I think the biggest problem that we face today in our society is the choice between tasty and tender. And wet aging has been the partner for most restaurants, butchers, retailers to produce a tender piece of beef, one that is easily enjoyed and comfortably eaten. We've lost touch with taste, and we enhance taste with various forms of spicing and seasoning. The beauty of dry aging is that we don't need to have that loss of flavor to achieve tenderness. And I think that's where the biggest problem lies today, is people's misconceptions and misunderstanding of the difference between dry and wet aging. Firstly, the secret or the simplicity lies in the terms. Wet aging is when we take a piece of meat, we vacuum it inside a polyurethane bag, PVC bag, we remove all oxygen, we seal it, and it ages or matures in its own juices, in its own blood. This period in South Africa is usually done anything between 14 and 28 days, and you would have seen this in your butcher, or you've seen your restaurateur menu speak about wet aged for a period of time. Dry aging is simply the absolute opposite. So we age in a dry environment, there's no vacuum bags involved, there's no direct blood contact involved with the extremities and the external part of the muscle or the carcass, and we allow oxygen to naturally be in contact with the meat. When we wet age, we remove oxygen from the bag, we seal what is inside the muscle, inside that vacuum sealed bag, and this drives the process, the enzymic process, to break down the connective tissue. This breakdown takes approximately 14 to 21 days, and in this time the oxygen gets depleted, and we eventually run out of an energy source for the enzymes to do their work. With dry aging, we don't have this. We have constant contact of the muscle with oxygen, and we allow the enzymes to freely practice the breakdown of the connective tissue. Again, 14 to 21 days. After the initial destruction of the connective tissue, which turns the meat tender, which makes it easy for us to eat and gives us that sensation of a soft or tender piece of meat, the enzymes process will now go to the next solid mass, which is the bone. And this is very important that we dry age preferably on the bone, because that's where flavor is derived from. If I can give you a simple example, you take the cooking of your favorite chicken stock recipe. That's usually done with the carcass of a chicken and not with the filleted breast of a chicken, which, as we know, is a fairly tasteless piece of meat. The bone gives off incredible flavor profiles that enhances the beefy understanding of our flavor sensations that we want to take in. Fat also plays an incredibly important role, and with dry aging, and especially in the dry ager, fat becomes a partner in the flavor profile development. With dry aging, we allow every single square inch of that carcass to participate in the generation of flavour. So now to go back to where I started with your choice of flavour or tenderness. You sit with wet aging, which gives you tenderness, and that's great. That's what we want. That's what we're happy with. With dry aging, we have the combination of both taste and flavour. And to add value to it, we also bring the third component in, which is moist. You know, there's nothing worse than a dried out steak, and that's what your traditional or typical dry aging practices would create is dry meat, because we've removed all the blood. We physically suck the life out of it, and that's what makes the dry ager totally unique. I hope the simplified way of explaining the subtle differences between the two, while in most instances actually the aggressive difference between wet and dry aging, makes it easier for you to make your decision of what choice of meat you're going to have next. And I sincerely believe it should be a dry aged steak, and more so a dry aged steak.